Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, Pilgrim.
Pilgrim, because it's the Thanksgiving holidays.
Yes, that's right. We're having our own Thanksgiving parade right here, right now. Courtesy of JP.
So as opposed to like a gay pride parade, it's a Thanksgiving parade.
Yeah. Just turkey.
Giving thanks for being turkey. Yes.
And stuffing.
Well, and on our way, I give thanks to the EJ Liberty location there at the Liberty Hotel in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, California.
Pittsburgh,
I
California.
didn't know that.
Right. It's spelled weird. Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. There's no H or anything like that.
Okay, that's right.
The other Pittsburgh.
Yeah. But awesome food there. Yeah.
We had a good time. We stopped. That's why we're a little late. Sorry, everybody. We're half hour late because Palmer and I stopped off to eat and drink.
That's right. And had the brewer's assistant hamburger with those shoestring fries of theirs.
You love those fries. You
I
were
did.
Like, I love these fries. Oh, I love these fries.
I ate most of them, which is 2 pounds worth of fries there on the plate, and
yeah.
I ate most of them.
Oh, and I had the Cumberland Street Club, which was absolutely freaking delicious, but it was huge. And I ate like half of it, and I'm like, oh, man, I can't eat any more. It was really good, but I can't eat any more. And then I took like another little nibble. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could eat the other half. Great combination of flavors and textures, and it was really good. And the beer's really good. The lines are all clean. The beers are all fresh. They keep a rotating selection of like a dozen beers going through that place.
Yeah, really cool building. It's neat place.
Well, and it's going to be right across the street from the Heretic Brewing Company.
Yeah, which I've heard a little bit about.
Yeah, Heretic. There you go. Be a heretic. Don't drink ordinary beer. That's our slogan. Yeah, we're we should have beer one around, I'm saying early March, around that time. And
for those of you out there that don't know, this is going to be Jamil's Brewing Company.
Right. Yes. I am Chief Heretic is what I'm calling myself.
There you go. the high priest of heretics.
Right. Well, and you can follow us on Facebook. We got a Facebook page, Heretic Brewing Company. We got Twitter, Heretic Brew. And we've got hereticbrewing.com. If you go to hereticbrewing.com, there's links there to connect up to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, Twitter page. We'll be doing the whole social networking thing.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a really. It's all right in that. Still in the playing stages right now, but from what we talked about on the way over, it sounds like it's just going to be a top-notch brewery.
Absolutely. No matter what you think, just keep saying that. All right.
I believe
Somebody asked you.
I believe.
Yeah, that's going to be top-notch. Absolutely. Try that. And then, if the day comes when you can't answer it like that, let me know. I'll cut your vocal cords or something. Yeah, we'll change the name of the brewery. And you can start all over. No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. We're going to have a good time with that. And if you want to have a good time as well, I suggest you sign up for the AHA Brewing Network giveaway. So the AHA has provided us with 3 full complimentary passes to the San Diego National Homebrewers Conference in June of 2011. Now, they don't need to do this because they sell the thing out every year.
Yeah.
So it's like essentially just giving us money. These passes. Because they could just turn these into, cash, $300 or whatever it is a piece for these things. But they appreciate everything that the Brewing Network's done and the Brewing Network listeners have done for the AHA over the past, and that the fact that you guys really have taken to heart our call to sign up for the AHA, and they're like, you guys got a lot of members listening. Let's give something back to the members. Let's go ahead and raffle off some passes. So we got one per show. We got there's that other show, but since it can't be named. It doesn't have a pass. So we got a ticket to give away on the Sunday session, a ticket to give away on Brew Strong, and a ticket to give away on Can You Brew It. So the way you enter for this is you're an AHA member, and the easiest way to be an AHA member if you're not already is to go to thebrewingnetwork.com. There's an AHA logo. You click on that, and you fill out the form, you sign up, you pay your however many bucks it is. And actually, they kick a portion of that back to the Brewing Network, so you're helping the Brewing Network there. And, you get all the benefits of being an AHA member. Zymergy Magazine, all the representation, legal representation, and, where all these lobbyists are trying to kill your rights. The AHA's in there fighting for you. And, the pub discount program and the online forums and stuff like that. And the conference.
Definitely the conference, the camaraderie.
Yeah, I love that conference.
Yeah.
Best beer event. If I only could go to one beer event at all, I would pick the AHA National Conference. That would be it. Yeah. Over GABF, over anything else.
Definitely, yeah. It's the beers at the conference. I mean, everybody brings their best. That's the cool thing about it. So you never have a stinker beer there. And it's fun talking to all the other brewers from around the country, finding out how they do things, and the experts, that they have come in doing the talks. Always a lot of really fascinating information there.
Well, and you're going to be talking at this San Diego conference, aren't you?
Yeah.
I as well. I'm going to be talking about something.
Yeah,
I don't know what
picked what yet, but
it is. But I will be talking, and then. So anyways, you sign up for the AHA, and then you need to be a BN donor as well. Okay, so that's as little as $2 a month. There's a donate now button. You click on that thing, and you can you sign up. If you only want to do it once to get in on this deal, then that's fine. Do it during the month that we're holding the drawing. I think it's going to be February or something. I'm not sure.
Minimum investment though.
And sign up for 1 month for $2, and then you're in, and well worth it. But if you can, go ahead and donate to the BN. It keeps shows like this rolling, and keeps Justin from having to blow sailors for loose change. And speaking of great things, great giveaways, Blickman Engineering, they are giving away having you. Me and John Blickman out to brew at your house. Or you can come out to my house and you can brew at my house. Or we have down to Heretic Brewing. You can brew down there.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. All you got to do is, if you've purchased a top-tier system from, it was somewhere back in October or September or something like that.
September, I think.
All the way through the end of January of 2011. If you buy it before the end of January 2011, you are in the drawing for us to come out, the three of us to come out at no expense to you. We'll come out to your place, and we will brew with you. We'll
and you
probably
can
drink a lot of your beer, but we'll also brew with you.
That's right. You can purchase a top tier either from one of the many online brew shops, or you can purchase it from your local brew shop.
That's a great option. Buy from your local homebrew retailer.
Yeah.
Keep them in business too. And Northern Brewer, they sell them as well. They're a great sponsor of Can You Brew It. Been for many years, the Jamel Show. And show some of these some love. And if you're planning on brewing a system anyways, I don't know that I'd go out and buy a system if you couldn't afford one or weren't planning on buying one anyways. But if you think one of these systems is in your future, go ahead and buy one, because there's there's a fair number of entrants. Obviously, and they sell a lot of these systems. They're great systems, but it's a much better odds than anything like the lottery or anything like that. So
that's right.
Yeah, you have a pretty good chance of us coming out, or again, you can come out to my house and brew with us there. All three of us will be there and having a good time. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'll do some I'll do some barbecue. We'll do some, we'll drink some beers.
Cool.
We'll have a good time. And then if you do come out to my place or to Heretic, we'll also throw in, you come down to the studio and you can participate with Palmer and I in doing Brew Strong.
Yeah, that'll be fun too.
Participate meaning, go get us a beer, bring
or if you'd rather have us out to your house, and that's cool too.
That's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk in our on-air voices instead of our regular. This is my regular voice. I'm talking my on-air voice. Huh?
Yeah.
You want people to enter this, right? I imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We'll
leave
talk
that part out.
Yeah, we'll talk in our on-air voices all the time, and we'll dress. We'll put clothes on this time. We'll have pants, everything. It'll be fantastic. And before I forget, we got another new sponsor for Brew Strong. I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. It is AdamandEve.com. And it's not just for the guys, it's for the gals too. It's for anybody. Adam and Eve, they've got a specialty item there for all you folks, no matter which way you go. They've got sex toys, vibrators, lingerie, adult movies, sexy extras. They got all sorts of good stuff to, let's say, enjoy yourself. Or enjoy yourself with somebody else. That's even better. All you need to do, go there, check out the site, adamandeve.com. You spell out the Adam and Eve, or you can just say adameve.com. And if you enter the code JAMIL, JAMIL, you'll get 50% off one item. You get 3 free adult DVDs. You get a free extra gift, sensual gift, and you get free shipping. So for just a couple of bucks, you're going to get yourself quite the collection of goodies. So check it out. AdamandEve.com, new sponsor for Brew Strong. All right, so what we're doing today, we have a Q&A show. We're actually, we took stock of where we were in our shows, and we realized, there's a lot of questions that have been coming in, and we haven't really been answering all of them, and we promised that we would answer all of them. Right. So we think we're going to do a number of Q&A shows and try and knock a bunch of these questions out. And you know what? They're great questions. These are things that you should know. If you don't know already, you should know. And a lot of them, they're things that there's no quick and easy way to find out this information. It's not out there on the internet. That's why these people are asking these questions. So we want to go ahead and kind of get caught up. So we're going to do a few Q&A shows in a row. So bear with us, and I hope you enjoy those. All right, let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll get into your questions right after this.
When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at BlickmanEngineering.com and stay on the cutting edge.
Hey, BN Army, you think you're badass? Well, you are, kind of. Like badass, but without the balls to blow something up. HopTech in patriotic Dublin, California recognizes your nearly badassness with a BN Army discount on every order. But there's something those boys and girls in the real Army should know. If you have an APO address or a scan of an active PX card, HopTech salutes you as an actual badass and offers their thanks with a 15% discount on every purchase. That's the HopTech way of saying thanks to all active military personnel. 15% off ingredients, kits, equipment, as well as games, books, gifts, and more, all at HopTech.com. Whichever Army you're a member of, any branch of the military, or the BN Army, HopTech in Dublin says thank you with great discounts. Call 800-DRY-HOPS, visit the store in Dublin, California, or go to HopTech.com. HopTech, serving homebrewers for 28 years.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids, come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 10 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer at Brew Free or Die IPA in the Northeast, Northwest, parts of the Midwest, and Alaska in cans and on draft. So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in the can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack can.
And now, Northern Brewer brings you another installment of The Time Brewers.
When last we left our heroes, they found themselves in 1842 in the province of Bohemia.
Yo, this era jerky. All the beers is murky.
What ho, friends, a male alewife.
I don't know what I'm doing, so I got this dark malt, yeah? More stinky dark beer, yeah.
No, sir. Please, wait. Just a moment.
Aye, a package from the future from Northern Brewer.
Use the Pilsner malt, my good man. And these Sots hops, sucker. They ain't noble like Queen Victoria, but you can use Sterling from Portland to Astoria. Let your wort caramelize and let melanoidins harmonize in a long boil. Keep your starter under cover with aluminum foil. Boo.
And useth thou some bog myrtle.
Northern Brewer is your one-stop homebrew supplier throughout the entire fermento chronosphere. The widest selection of quality malt, hops, yeast, $7.99 flat rate shipping, and get your nasty-ass bog myrtle back to the dark ages, Brother Abelard.
Hey, this golden lager with the happy hops pretty damn good. Thanks, Time Brewers. Thanks, Northern Brewer.
Our work here is done, my friends. Now, to wherever we are next needed.
Tune in next time for the continuing adventures of The Time Brewers.
Hilo, what's it feel like?
Take awesome and multiply it by 2.
Yeah!
Spraying live beer radio all over your face.
Can't get any better than this, baby.
It's the Brewing Network.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking Q&A.
Yes.
We got the lovely John Palmer here in the studio and working the boards with the ever lovely JP, Jason Petros.
Hi.
I'm working with 2 JPs at the same time and ants crawling all over the desk here.
Yeah, think in the middle of winter, there wouldn't be ants around.
There's no winter in frickin' Pacheco. That's why it's like 1 billion degrees out and the sun is frying my tuchus in the studio. Why so hot all the time? All right, so we're doing Q&A. Yeah,
I'm sure you get that question all the time.
Seriously, Justin can't be bothered to work on the show with us, so we got the JP here, which is fine. It's all right. We go second string. That's okay.
Yeah, and you just heard a little taste of what JP can do.
You can lean on the board or
totally ruin Jamil's.
That's fine. That's fine. Absolutely. As long as I think as long as people can hear the pearls of wisdom coming from John Palmer's mouth, then we're all fine.
Well, we are.
Small dripping sound, I suppose.
Tick, tick, tick. Sounds like an annoying leak in a.
Is that my faucet? No, it's Palmer.
$6 motel room.
Yeah, that's Palmer's pearls.
Pearls.
Dropping on the floor.
You can get medication for that. It's, I think penicillin stops that.
Alrighty then.
All right. So, JP, what's our first question of the day?
All right. First question of the day comes to us from Mills, and he emailed. What is the email for Brew Strong?
Brew Strong at thebrewingnetwork.com.
I don't even know these things. I'm learning.
Right. Well, and, if you have questions, please go ahead and email us at brewstrong at thebrewingnetwork.com. We can't respond to all of those that come in. If you need an immediate response to something else, and email us individually. But if you want something on the show, email it there, and we will get to all of them.
Yep. That's correct. So Mills asks, during the last session at Downtown Joe's, Justin asked Colin how he does it, which it is... I just totally ruined this whole email. Let's try it again. I have learned from you and the BN the importance of yeast health and pitching rates. Some local brewers have told me that they pitch yeast by pushing from one conical to another without measuring volume. Mm-hmm. That sounds insane to me. I figured there would be some sort of closed system. During the last session at Downtown Joe's, Justin asked Colin how he does it, and Colin said that he runs his yeast into buckets and then pitches it to the next conical. This all sounds crazy to me, especially because I've heard you talk about how great Colin's beers are. Do you know of a closed/sanitary way to properly handle yeast on a pro scale?
Right. And I think part of his question was, how do you measure the amount of yeast if you're doing closed transfer conical to conical, which a lot of commercial brewers do. Yeah. And the advantage to that is, again, it's a closed transfer, so you're not getting air, and in air is floating dust, which carries bacteria and wild yeast and stuff like that. Well, the closed transfer avoids that. What you do is, you hook up, you go ahead and purge off the, bottom third of the cone, which is, the earlier flocculators. You don't want those, right. and other trub and crap. And then you're going to transfer that middle layer to your other cone. And, the question was, well, how do you measure it? How do you know that you're getting the right pitching rate or like that? Well, you can measure that, right? It may not seem like you can measure it in a way that you're thinking of.
Time and flow rate?
Time and flow rate, exactly. So, and there are actually devices you can use to measure the amount of cells in a slurry that are traveling through a line and all that, and you can know much more closely. But even just, in your local brew pub, you hook up to the other conical, You're using the same pump, same amount of time, same line length, and hopefully the slurries are fairly consistent from batch to batch. It's 15 seconds of transfer. It's 2 minutes of transfer. It's whatever it might be. You transfer that amount and see how it works. And if it seems like you're pitching too much or too little, then you go ahead and adjust. Instead of 15 seconds, maybe you need 30. Instead of 2 minutes, maybe you need a minute and a half. And in that way, you are measuring. Yeah, it's not as precise as we'd like to be. It'd be great to go ahead and take a sample of the slurry and get yourself a cell count and figure out, exactly what the density of your slurry is, and go ahead and pitch. And you can do that. You can transfer into a closed vessel. You can take a measurement. You can you can do by weight. You can do by amount of transfer time. Don't think of measurement as, putting in a container and looking at how many mils you have. That isn't the only measurement you can do.
Okay. Do they generally pump the yeast over before they filled the tank or after? I mean, with the wort.
Generally before, and then you transfer the wort in on top. But I guess you could do either.
Yeah. I don't know. Don't know what the tricks of that particular scale is.
Right. Any other thoughts on it? Because again, I think just from a scientific point of view or a process point of view, process engineering point of view, measurement is
there's lots
on many different ways to measure things. It's brightness, it's salinity, it's it's pH, it's time, it's weight, it's volume. There's many ways to measure all these different substances and what you're doing. And the important thing is that you do measure in some way. Again, people ask, well, how do I know how much oxygen I'm putting into the wort before I pitch? How do I know how the right amount of oxygen? It's like, well, by taste. That's really one of your best measures, and by time. So you've measured the amount of time. As long as you keep your flow every time consistent and your delivery process consistent, then just control it by time. And 1 minute. Try 1 minute. If that's too much and you're getting those fusely solventy alcohols, well, try 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Or, if you're, one thing or the other is changing, it's not the way you like, try a different time. Try 1 minute this time if you're not sure. Try 2 minutes the next time. Try 4 minutes the next time and see which one works out best.
Yeah.
Whichever one works out best, that's your closest one. Go with that number and then, go maybe a little lower, a little higher and see.
Yeah.
And as long as you're consistent in how you're measuring these things and how you're controlling it, your results will be great.
Yeah. That reminded me of a couple pages in the yeast book that you and Chris did on the amount of oxygen that commercial brewers are putting in their worts.
Mm-hmm.
And they interviewed several pro brewers and
they measured the wort and everything.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see like the number that were kind of on the low end versus the number that are on the high end.
Right.
And yet, each
all over the board.
Yeah,
huge differences.
Yeah, but these brewers, took that baseline and worked with it to make good beer.
Right.
So
well, and that's the thing you can do. And some of these pro brewers aren't really tasting their beer and seeing if the result is really what it should be, or they don't know that too much oxygen can give you that really hot alcohol, solvency alcohol kind of character, or too little is affecting attenuation, or they're unaware that they're just thinking, well, this is the right amount, and then they're just leaving it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not adjusting from there and thinking about what it's supposed to be doing and realizing the impact. But that's a good point. Absolutely good point. All right. What's our next one, JP?
All right, our next one comes from Russ in Maryland. He says, guys, great show. Thanks for all the terrific content. You're welcome. I have a question about lagering and oxidation for the live Q&A show. There we go. I've been noticing that the malt profiles of my lagers and ales that I cold conditioned are somewhat muted. My water chemistry is balanced toward chloride more than sulfate, and I dilute with distilled water to lower RA from bicarbonate. So I don't believe water chemistry is an issue. Mm-hmm. When I lager, I use a carboy with an airlock so it breathes in as the temperature comes down. I'm wondering if the breathing in may be a significant enough source of oxygen to have an effect, and subsequently, if this can be muting the malt flavors. I'm very careful about keeping oxygen out through my process. I can definitely detect the characteristic malt flavors in the beers I brew, but they don't sing like the commercial examples. What say ye?
There's so many possibilities here.
Yeah.
Well, and, all right, so I'll kind of go backwards from my first thought. One was, a lot of times people compare their beers to imported versions of, let's say, if you're doing a lager, you're doing like a, Oktoberfest, and you get a Spaten Oktoberfest or something shipped over. And, people will say, oh, that has this malt character to it that I can't get in my beers. So, yeah, well, that's oxidized malt character, and, that's actually a flaw in those beers. And a lot of them come over and they get kind of a slightly sweet kind of caramel kind of character to them. Well, that's oxidized. That's a staling of the beer. Mm-hmm. So you want to, that's not something you want to emulate. If you go over there and have those beers fresh, they don't taste like that. So that's one thing. The other thing I was thinking was, could be oxidation, could be, if you're pulling oxygen in. The other thing I was thinking was it could be a fermentation issue. That's always a possibility as well.
Yeah. I wonder about if he's got enough calcium in his water.
Calcium, yeah, could be flabby.
Yeah. If even if he thinks that the RA is good, or he's diluting his bicarbonate levels down to reduce his RA. If you're not building the calcium back up, that could still result in kind of a flabby malt flavor. May need a little more calcium to punch that up a bit,
right,
and accentuate it.
Sometimes even the same thing goes with gypsum additions to punch up the bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
When the bitterness seems crisp, sometimes the malt seems stronger.
Yeah, that's right
as well.
Yeah, it's if it could be his pH just maybe just a couple tenths
pH
high.
issue.
in the final beer, and that keeps it from being a bright malty character.
Right.
And you look at your water chemistry a little bit. Just check on your calcium levels. You should be looking for somewhere between 50 and 100 ppm.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it could be, so he says he's drawing in oxygen as he cools it down.
Right.
Yeah, it could have some effect, but it shouldn't be that much of an effect that early on. I wouldn't think that's the issue. But the thing that always strikes me, I haven't written a book called Yeast with Dr. Chris White of White Labs, is that when your fermentation is not perfect and on top of things, the beer can taste kind of flabby if you're not getting full attenuation. And even the way that the beer ferments, sometimes the malt flavors will pop. When the beer is properly fermented, and it'll seem kind of sweet and
soft,
and just kind of wordy if they're really badly fermented.
Right.
And something in between can be, again, kind of mute those malt characters. So,
True.
I would think, fermentation. If I had to guess and pick one over any of the others, I would say, fermentation. So, interestingly enough, this is one where we have no idea. It could be any one of these things.
Yeah.
The only thing I think it's not is maybe the oxygen being pulled in. You should avoid that if you can, post-fermentation.
But I doubt that.
But even then, that's probably not the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, check pH.
Yeah. Check pH. Check your fermentation. Make sure you're pitching enough healthy, active yeast to really, make that work. All right.
All right. Good answer, folks. Here's another one from Tom. It says, "Hey, guys, I buy malt by the sack. Some of my malt is a few years old. I've stored it in my attic where temperatures fluctuate a good bit. Lately, I've moved it to the crawl space, which stays cooler. The malt tastes fine and is not crumbly. If I brewed two identical beers, one with the old malt and one with fresh malt, would they taste different? Would Jay-Z taste a difference attributable to age? I think so, but others disagree. What do the Wizards of Wort think on this vital matter?"
Well, the others are idiots, Of course I would taste it. It's,
Well, you got a nickname out of it, which I think is pretty good.
That's right. Attributable?
Yeah, you are Captain Attributable.
All right.
The Wizards of Wort.
The Wizards of Wort.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, there you go. They've seen our magic.
Yeah.
Our magic wands.
Our magic wands.
But there's definitely malt ages.
Mm-hmm.
You'll lose some of the brightness of the malt.
Right.
Freshness. Definitely go away. Fluctuating temperatures doesn't sound good up in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's stayed dry up in the attic, the hot temperatures it could have experienced definitely gonna change the character of the malt from a fresh bag.
Right. Well, and I think, probably the most important would be humidity.
Yeah.
So keeping the humidity right. He talks about it's not crumbly. Well, yeah, the malt, when it gets too much humidity, when it goes slack and it becomes, it's no longer crisp.
Right.
When you bite into malt, properly stored malt, it kind of has a crunch to it.
It's friable.
Yeah. And if you, once it's gone slack, it's just soft and almost, it does crumble and it's mushy almost.
It becomes more chewy.
Yeah. It's no longer got that hardness to it. And the flavor does change. And what's happening during that time is oxidation of the malt compounds,
right?
The starches, things like that. And it does change the flavor. So there's a definite difference. Certainly if you were to take something that was, nice, fresh malt and then take a, batch that's been abused and it's oxidized and gone slack and you brewed with that, I got a question for you on this, John, but I know that you would taste the difference between those two.
Right.
Something that's slightly aged and slightly starting to, not be the best, that may be much more difficult to detect. I imagine a side by side, you'd still taste the difference.
Yeah.
Whether on its own you'd go, wow, this is aged malt or not. I don't know. But John, I would imagine even that this oxidation or the staling of the malt, that's going to affect even the ability, extraction efficiency and pH and other things, or
the oxidation of it's going to probably affect the convertibility.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are that you have lost some enzyme viability with aged malt, and then what was the other question you had? The
pH or
the pH. I don't know about that off the top of my head. I would imagine the oxidation would change the flavors.
Mm-hmm.
You would, basically you've got some pre-melanoidins going on.
Right.
I think you would probably tend to brew a little darker than it would fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd probably get some darker malt characteristics or different melanoidins,
but not good
not necessarily good ones.
Right.
Maybe if it had been stored fairly well but just old, you would get flavors that weren't necessarily bad but certainly different.
Well, and think about fresh bread versus stale bread.
Yeah.
Think about not just how stale bread can be hard, but the flavor changes.
Yeah,
there's a definite flavor and aroma components to fresh bread versus a bread that's aged for a while.
Yeah,
and the same thing's happening in the malt.
Yeah,
so I always like to equate melanoidins with toasted bread versus untoasted
musty
bread, and I think the same thing is true when it comes to aged malt and fresh malt.
When I've judged beer, I've tasted beers that I could really tell were made with old malt. Mm-hmm. They just had a mustiness to them, a cellar musty kind of tang to them that just wasn't good.
Right. So, did we answer the question? Yeah, I think
it was good.
It's that kind of it definitely makes a difference. And if you're storing your malt, I think we should say a little bit about storing your malt. You want to keep it dry. You want to keep it the humidity level that it got to you from the maltster, and sealed containers.
Yep.
And consistent temperatures is probably more important than a specific temperature.
Right.
Cooler is probably better, because it slows down oxidation. But sealed containers, filled all the way to the top is a good way to go. They'll also keep out rodents and stuff like that. I actually cleaned up a rodent problem this other day. I was pilot brewing for a Heretic Brewing Company, and I realized that
you just added a whole bag full of rodents to the batch.
The plastic containers keep the rodents out. You'd think they could chew through, and I'm sure they can't, but they don't. But any malt in a plastic bag, they'll go right through. They'll even go for cocoa nibs. I discovered that as well. But snap traps work quite well on rodents. All right, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll get into more of your questions. Back after this.
Since 1921, Muntons has been a provider of quality malted grain and extract.
What did he just say?
That's 90 years of locally sourced grain for home brewers and professional brewers alike. All farmed within 50 miles of our malt houses.
What? I can't understand what this is. The last part.
Whole and crushed malts, including wheat and peated malt, liquid extract, hopped and unhopped, as well as dried malt extract. Everything from beginner home brewer kits to all the ingredients an advanced home brewer needs.
Something about trains? What language does this guy speak? He's from Austria.
Muntons is proudly serving brewers in 54 countries and honoured to be a leader in malting.
Can you understand this guy? No. That's a really weird language.
Ask for Muntons malt and malt extract at your local home brew shop.
Muntons, for brewing, distilling, and baking. Quality malted grain and extract for 90 years. Make your malt Muntons.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmaster's Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmaster's database if you want. And the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then, bam, click Buy Recipe, and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmaster's Warehouse is run the way a home brewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmaster's Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
Do you support the Brewing Network? Do you brew your own? Are you looking for an economical, fun, and legal way to do both? Subscribe to Brew Your Own magazine and do just that. All year long, Brew Your Own will surprise you, entertain you, and educate you with articles on beer and brewing from authors like the Brewing Network's very own Jamel Zalashev and John Palmer. Each issue is a full pint of brewing techniques, homebrew stories, tips and photos, projects to make yourself, and recipes for the avid home brewer. Get your tough questions answered by Mr. Wizard, and polish your style accuracy with Jamel. A portion of every subscription goes to the Brewing Network, so subscribe today at byo.com/Brewing Network, or just click the BYO logo on the Brewing Network homepage and support a fantastic hobby and your favorite broadcaster. Brew Your Own, the how-to homebrew beer magazine.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
I tell you, we got the best intros and outros in the entire brewing beer casting industry.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. There's no other show that's got better than that.
That's right.
All right, we're answering your questions, Q&A questions. If you want to ask questions, you can get live into the chat room. You just go to thebrewingnetwork.com, and there is a chat now, and you click on that. You don't need a password or anything. You jump right in. You can use any fake name you want. You can ask questions, interact with others that are listening to the shows at the same time. It's actually really cool. It's one of the things I love about the Brewing Network. I listen to the Sunday show. I like to see what chatter is going on, and people wondering about Heretic and Heretic and all things heretical about Heretic. And
it's a lot of knowledge, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think it's a really cool way to participate in the show. You can ask questions, we'll answer them. If you have any clarifications needed, it's a great way to be part of the show. And I think that's one of the things that makes the Brewing Network great, is that we have people that participate in the show. So these aren't just something we do, pull out of thin air, where this is based on your feedback. So we appreciate that, and it's a great way to do it. So send your questions to brewstrong at thebrewingnetwork.com, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. What's the next one?
This one is from Joshua in California. He says, first of all, brewing classic styles is my new Bible of brewing. I loved how to brew. It's the perfect start to this awesome hobby. But now I really want to brew competition-grade beer. I'm an all-grain brewer, so I'll be using the all-grain conversion you provide. However, there is no mention of any conversion needed for the steeping grains. Do I just use them as the same quantities? I'm also a frequent listener to Brew Strong podcast and listen to each show that pertains to the recipe I'm about to brew. In this case, I'm about to brew a Saison, and the only steeping grain is Cara Munich. On the podcast, Jamil made it sound like this was more of an option than a requirement. So this did not quite answer my question.
Right.
And then he says, thanks so much for the help and constant support through your books and podcasts.
Right. So the show that did all the BJCP styles was the Jamil show. And Bruce Strong is Palmer and I.
That's right.
Waxing eloquent about your questions and topics. So 2 different shows. But, and that other show is converted over to Can You Brew It, which is cloning beers now. So you can request your clones. And I actually get this question a lot. And, all right, so in the all-grain instructions in Brewing Classic Styles, it says substitute, X number of pounds of pale malt or whatever it might be for the liquid malt extract. So all the other ingredients in that recipe need to go in the beer.
Right.
So you wouldn't get rid of those. You wouldn't just go with those all-grain items, but you would substitute out the all-grain for the liquid extract.
Yeah, I could have sworn we mentioned it in the chapter on how to brew these recipes.
That's an important chapter that a lot of people skip. They ask me, it doesn't say anywhere what the percentages are. Page 41. Page 41.
How to brew these recipes, yeah.
Right, yeah, that section saying how to do this, that's a good chapter to read if you haven't read it.
Yeah. But it's the same amounts of the same steeping grains, whether you're brewing the extract and steeping grain recipe version or the all grain. Take those same steeping grain, put them in the mash.
Right. Now, do you get exactly the same recovery of flavors and sugars from steeping them as you do from all grain? Or
no, you don't.
Is it close, or can you make it close by the amount of water you use?
Yeah, you can optimize it by tailoring the amount of water. There's, I guess when we wrote the book, we said we'll just use this as our baseline. I think we said in the book, all the recipes, came from your all grain recipes, and then converting them to extract and steeping grains. And if you steep in a decent amount of water, get a good extraction from those grains, and add your extract, you should arrive pretty close.
Right.
And then any adjusting you want to do of amounts, that's up to you. But this is the baseline to work from.
Should get you pretty darn close.
Yeah.
And just don't steep in a really tiny amount of water.
Right.
Don't steep in a giant amount of water.
And it should be pretty close.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Get the next question, JP.
All right. Next question is from the chat. So, live listeners, if you have a question, why don't you join me in the chat? Join us in the chat. PM me the question, and we'll get it to the guys. This one is from Antioch in the chat room. He says, not sure if this has been asked as I'm going through the archives, but my wife hates beer, but ended up enjoying a coffee stout. I've read multiple ways of adding coffee, not espresso, into the beer, but what do Jay-Z and Palmer think about that? How do you how do you add coffee into your beer?
Well, and, you do some coffee beers, JP, as well, right? And you're doing one for Can You Brew It?
I'm doing one for Can You Brew It. I've actually never done a coffee beer, but
really? You do a lot of oak and other.
I do a lot of weird stuff like that.
And you've done chocolate beers.
I've done with the cocoa nibs.
Cocoa nibs.
The only coffee beer I've ever had that I really liked was I think it was Black Hook from Red Hook Brewing years and years ago, and they would use Starbucks Italian roast coffee. And how they did it, they would just brew a batch of double strength Italian roast coffee and add the coffee in instead of the grinds. And I've always come across beers that have been steeped with a coffee grounds, and they just come off tasting kind of tannic and a little bitter and acidic. And so I never really thought that was the right way, but like a lot of things I do, I just talked out of my ass.
Well, and I think there's a definite difference.
The way to not do it is don't put coffee grounds in your mash
Right.
Don't boil coffee in your kettle. I think from
words of experience and wisdom.
Yeah. The easiest way to do it is to brew a pot of coffee and pour it into the fermenter. You know, and just
that's going to lower your gravity, your original gravity.
Right.
So you're going to need to brew to a higher.
Well, you know, I mean,
starting gravity strength.
Yeah, but I mean, depending how strong you make that coffee, you're adding, 2 quarts at the most. You want some coffee flavor.
2 liters in a 20-liter batch. It's 10% drop in your specific gravity.
Yeah, but you don't want to. I mean, you're not trying to ferment coffee. You're just trying to add coffee flavor. So you're usually not adding a whole lot.
Take it into account. Come on, throw me a bone here. You take it into account.
Yeah.
You can do the math there, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Just count on it dropping. If you're adding a 2 liters into a 20-liter batch, you're almost dropping 10% of your gravity. So you're going to want to bump it up a little bit because if you're at 1060, you're all of a sudden at 1055 or 1054 or something, right? So
bone, yeah.
little, just take it into account. It's not that difficult. It doesn't have to be precise either, because what we've learned is, you could be at 1065 or 1055, and really the resulting beer is more related to fermentation than it is with your starting gravity and the ending gravity. It's like, it's going to be great either way. So, but try and dial it in a little bit.
The other way I've heard of doing it is cold steeping, kind of like dry hopping, putting some coffee coarse ground into a bag, in a muslin bag, and then steeping that in cold in the fermenter or in the corny keg.
I think that's JP. Isn't that what you're going to be doing for the wake and bake stout that you're doing on Can You Brew It?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, cold steeping, and I think there's some logic to that, the cold steeping, because if you cold steep highly kilned grains, Dr. Scott's real fond of doing a cold steep of black malts and things like that to extract out the color and the flavor without that harsh tanniny ashy kind of character, and then adding that to this beer.
Get a lot more aromatics that way.
Right. So cold steeping is another good way of doing it.
Yeah. I think it's the blend of coffee too.
Oh,
sure.
Sure.
The specific region of the bean. Like I wouldn't do like a lighter coffee, like maybe a Kenyan.
You wouldn't do a Pacheco
coffee. No, I wouldn't do a Pacheco coffee.
Pacheco bean.
Pacheco estate.
Yes.
Because there are some coffees that are just a little more acidic, and I don't think and I like that Red Hook beer because the coffee's already kind of on the sweeter side anyway, and I think it blended really well with the beer.
Uh-huh.
Puerto Rican as opposed to Ethiopian.
Something like that, yeah. Kenyan coffee will have a lot of. It's a high acid coffee and it has a lot of blueberry notes. So unless that's going to work in your beer,
I mean, different beers may take it. Depending on if your beer is real sweet or something like that, and it may need that kind of tannic balance or something like that.
True.
That might help as well. There's also the cold press coffee. You could actually buy cold press coffee. It has this in like a concentrate, and you can use that. I've seen it on the internet, and people were raving about that as a great means of adding coffee flavors to your beer. It doesn't have all that tannic stuff, and it's it's already concentrated. You just dump that in. It won't affect the gravity a whole lot, and that might be a good way to go as well.
Do they still have the internet? Is that still around?
Yeah, I think you can still get it on like AT&T or something.
That's
I don't
weird.
know, whatever it may be. Pacheco Net,
You guys want to try a phone call?
Sure, let's do a phone
call. We got
call.
a phone question from the chat. Bike Foolery. Bike, you there? Let me unmute you. How about that?
Hey, brother.
How about that?
Hey, I'm having a problem with beer stone in one of my carboys. It's kind of a whitish film building up on the inside below where the beer ferments. And I've tried hitting it with hot PBW, then followed by get that out, rinse it out, and then followed by a hot Star Sand so I get an acidic.
Yeah.
And I'm still seeing it in there. And I'm now realizing how crappy carboy brushes are because when I hold up the light, you can see where the bristles actually touched it and where they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that may not be acid enough.
Yeah, you need CLR. Go to Home Depot and get some CLR, the calcium lime remover.
And
okay, and do you just what for CLR? What's about the right mixture to do then?
I believe straight, maybe 1-to-1, but
straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, try what's on the package first, and then bump it up from there. And if you kill yourself, then we didn't recommend that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that creates that beer stone is especially you're in Davis, right?
No, I'm down here in Napoma, but I'm on well water. It's horrendous.
Okay, well, yeah, and that's one of the problems. If you use PBW with something like well water, something like that, and you do it hot, when you go to rinse it cold, it deposits that stone onto the surface. So if you're using PBW hot, when you go to rinse PBW, use the same temperature water or warmer to rinse the PBW. And once you get
that's what I've been trying to do.
Once you get it completely removed, then you can go to colder water.
I've been trying to rinse with the hot water, but there's only so much my hands can handle. So
right. Well, you're doing this with carboys. I mean, how hot a water is? I mean, you're doing real.
I got about 130 coming out of my tap here at the house. So
right. Yeah. Well, at least you got carboy. If it's coming off with the carboy brush, then it may not be beer stone, because beer stone would not come off with the carboy brush.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be just calcium carbonate,
or some sort of protein layer, protein film.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give the a CLR a try.
Yeah, but if it's coming off with the carboy brush, then I would wonder if if it's something in the water. Are you pulling that well water from a nice fresh well, or is it the well you use also as the sanitary well?
Oh, it's the city. It's the city wells that comes all chlorinated and whatnot. But I've stopped using that water for some time.
Yeah.
I've gone to just purchasing some RO water from the store, and
right.
Just so I can have better control over that. I called in a couple of weeks ago with a problem with the Tannic oatmeal stout.
Oh, okay.
Right. No, yeah, you're a faithful listener. We appreciate it. Yeah, so I wonder if it's beer stone or not, because again, beer stone won't scrub off with the brush. You would not see it come off with the brush. It's binds to the surface like you wouldn't believe, and it's a rough film. You can actually, it's like a sandpaper almost. And
I can't quite touch it in the middle of a carboy. So
yeah, lose some weight, skinny up that arm. But and you can't even scrub it off, even with a Brillo pad. You won't be able to take that stuff off. It really binds hard to the surface. You get it in kegs and things like that. So that's interesting. John, could it have something to do with pHs or?
Well, if it's well water, he may. It
some
could be
organic compounds in the water.
Yeah, it could be organic. It could be.
Sounds like a protein film to me.
Yeah, or maybe like an iron sulfate, but you'd taste that. So it's probably just calcium carbonate coming out from the hot PBW, like you said.
Right.
If you switch to doing cool PBW and a cool water rinse, you probably won't precipitate the calcium carbonate like you are right now, or it won't stick anyway.
Okay.
Right. And then, you always try the CLR and see if that takes it off.
Mm-hmm.
But, the purpose of the CLR is to dissolve the calcium and free it up into solution again, right?
Right.
So that's the whole purpose of that. So if that doesn't do any good, then it's like a protein film or something like that.
Right. Yeah, then that's where you would need the sodium hydroxide to dissolve the protein, and then follow up with the CLR to dissolve the mineral.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Good question, though. Thanks,
all right,
brother.
Thank you.
All righty.
That was a good question.
That was
good to hear from the chat every now and then.
Yeah. Let's take another break. It'll be our final break for the show, and then when we come back, we'll just knock out a couple more questions. Back after this.
When Blickman Engineering set out to design a great brewing stand, they knew it had to be strong, adaptable, and last for a lifetime. The top-tier brewing stand is now proudly available at BlickmanEngineering.com. It grows with your brewing skills and equipment. Start with 5-gallon coolers on its heavy-gauge stainless steel shelves. Then move all the way up to 30-gallon pots on the high-output burner tiers. Speaking of burners, the custom Blickman Engineering top-tier burners are extremely powerful, efficient, and amazingly quiet. They have safety stops to center your pot, and they'll last a lifetime and won't rust. The top-tier brewing stand allows virtually infinite combinations from traditional gravity systems to 2 tiers to completely horizontal. Configure your stand the way you want and have the freedom to change it at any time in the future. Your brewing stand should adapt with you, not force you to learn a new process. Visit BlickmanEngineering.com today to configure your top-tier brewing stand and to find a local Blickman retailer. You'll be surprised with all the flexible features and the competitive price. Start brewing with Blickman from the top tier.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of our 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Our Williams Belgian Pale Extract is mashed with pure Belgian 2-row malt and a small percentage of Belgian wheat malt for an authentic Belgian character you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out our unique fermenters, 2.5-gallon kegs, paintball tank-based draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and much more. We even have our own line of precision hydrometers. Go to WilliamsBrewing.com to browse our vast selection. That's WilliamsBrewing.com. Orders placed by 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Writing a review of WLP 400.
What? You're reviewing yeast?
Yeah. White Labs has home brewer reviews of all their strains. Are you new to these interwebs? Check it out.
That's awesome.
White Labs, your source for great yeast, invites all brewers to visit whitelabs.com to read and write your own reviews of all their yeast strains. Get real-world tips and tricks from other brewers who have made the most of their vials and post your own experiences. It's another way White Labs brings you closer to the best yeast on the planet.
And send. There you go.
You misspelled flocculate, dude.
What? Mother...
White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Downtown Joe's, located in the historic Oberon building in beautiful downtown Napa, California, offers an award-winning brew pub experience from 8:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day. For 15 years at the corner of 2nd and Main, Downtown Joe's has been voted Best Night Spot 7 times and Best Brew Pub for the last 4 years in a row. Brewmaster Colin Kaminsky's handcrafted ales, like his Tail Wagon Amber Ale and Double Secret Probation IPA, are the perfect accent to riverside dining, live music, and a relaxing outdoor patio. Don't miss the Beer of the Month, special rotating taps, and the BN Army Member Special. Wear your BN gear, get 10% off your beer. Visit downtownjoes.com to make reservations, peruse their extensive calendar of events, or just read more about their fantastic beers. Come enjoy the fine beer, food, and music. Downtown Joe's, the award-winning brew pub where you'll feel at home.
This is www.thebrewingnetwork.com. Sit down next to it, grab yourself a paper towel, and watch those yeast have sex.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're doing a Q&A, live Q&A show, and answering all your questions. You can send them in to brewstrong@thebrewingnetwork.com, and we will get to them. Sometimes it takes a little while, but, Palmer and I noticed that there was quite a backlog, and just doing a Q&A show every third show was not getting them done. So I think we're going to step it up. Maybe we're going to do a couple of Q&As, and then we'll be like that.
Yeah, because we really want to respond to your questions. So... this seems like a good way to get through them.
Yep. All right. What's our next couple of questions? We'll be wrapping up here soon.
All right, next question comes from Mitch. He says, guys, I made a clone of a beer. I have it in a 5-gallon batch before, and it was excellent. I made a 10-gallon all-grain batch of the same recipe a few weeks ago and used a London ESB yeast in one 5-gallon bucket. In the other, I used a repitch of the British ale. I kegged and force carbonated both 5-gallon batches. The ESB yeast was a repitch of a previous batch. The batch with repitch tastes vegetal. I don't quite understand what happened. I've seen this before on a batch that had flaked maize in it and thought I did not boil long enough. But now this has got me scratching my head. I do not have temperature control of my fermentation. I'm at the mercy of my basement. Can you help me figure out what I did incorrectly? Love the show.
Well,
So he is a fan.
there's always a couple of possibilities. One is it's wort production, which can. You're doing a lot of Pilsner malt, things like that. You can get some DMS and get some vegetal, but that doesn't sound like the case here because you wouldn't with some British beer that you're brewing. The other possibility is fermentation related, and the other possibility is contamination related.
Yeah, I'm wondering too. He's saying vegetal. I'm wondering if vegetable brothy.
Right.
I wonder if from the repitch, if there's some little bit of autolysis flavor going on in there.
Good point. Yeah, it could be meaty.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things we run into. This becomes problematic is, the way one person will describe a flavor or aroma may not be the same way that someone else would describe it.
Right.
So we're always kind of left guessing without being able to taste the beers ourselves. I would look to. One thing I would do is any beer that I had a question on, I'd go ahead and pull a sample and keep that, around 83 degrees Fahrenheit, mid-80s, and see if that thing attenuates out drastically after that. Then, wild yeast bacteria.
Yeah.
And that's what probably is the source of your problem. If it doesn't tend to change attenuation, then I would imagine that is maybe, other fermentation related or, wort production related.
Mm-hmm.
So, take some of that beer and give it a try and see if the attenuation changes radically. And that should give you a pretty good sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if the other beer doesn't taste particularly vegetal, it's probably not recipe related or boil related. So, yeah.
Well, those were the two same recipes with two different pitches?
Yeah.
Sound like it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 10 gallon split.
Right. But again, you could have, contamination
that's true.
related. That's why,
especially with the repitch.
With the repitch, yeah, you tend to, if your process isn't perfect, those first batches you kind of get away with it, and then when you repitch, you're actually just carrying that contamination forward, and it gets even more chance to grow and affect the beer, and
right.
You tend to get a little more funky. But autolysis, like you said, depends a lot on
perception.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Great answer. Last question is on bottle clarity. And this is from Westco. Says, hello, John and Jameel. I have a question about an observation with bottle versus keg clarity. I brewed the last 5 batches for competition, so I had to bottle them from a keg. After I would bottle the beer, I would let it raise to room temp overnight and then stick it in the fridge. Of the last 5 batches I did, 4 of them went from slightly hazy to brilliantly clear overnight in the bottle. I would compare the bottled version next to the same beer I just pulled from the keg. The keg is still very murky, but the bottles are clear. I know that the kegs will clear over time, but I'm curious as to why I can't get a Doppelbock to be brilliantly clear in just a couple of weeks after brew day versus month in the keg. I thought that by letting the beer sit at room temp, then crashing it again, that somehow made the beer clearer. I took a keg out and let it sit for 2 days at room temp, then crashed it, but it did not clear up. It seems only to clear up overnight in bottles. Have any idea why this is the case?
Well, it's not chill haze, is it? I mean, is he...
He's saying that it clears in the bottles in a short amount of time, but in the keg, it clears up maybe over a month or two.
Yeah, I wonder, a couple of things. If you one that is a common problem with people repitching lager yeasts is they tend to dump the first yeast and then they let this beer sit for a long time. They collect this fine layer of dusty yeast and they repitch that. And by the first repitch, it can end up in a yeast that won't flocculate at all, and you end up with this hazy beer. And the yeast won't drop at all. That's one possibility. The other is, though, if he's seeing a difference between keg and bottle, if you're drawing off the keg draws off the bottom of the keg, so the top may be brilliantly clear,
right?
And the bottom is still all the fines dropping down, and you're drawing that, and that may seem why it clears later on. The bottle is only 9 inches tall or whatever it is, and so the particulate matter drops out much quicker reaches the bottom much quicker. In the keg, in the same amount of time, the particles have dropped an equal distance,
but still
right. And so you're drawing off the bottom. You're still going to get hazy until it drops all the way. The kegs are 29 inches tall or whatever it is.
Right.
It's going to take 3 times as long for that to clear than the bottles.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If it's a hazy particle thing, that's going to be the issue there. Mm-hmm. If you have a bacteria or something like that in the keg, that can form a haze. Wild yeast can form a haze. So there's a lot of possibilities there. But I'm guessing here from the description that it's just the height difference between a bottle and a keg. And the keg's going to take 3 to 4 times
I was thinking
longer.
maybe he wasn't chilling the bottles, when he's looking at them before he sends them to comp. Right. And, of course, if it's a chill kind of haze, he's taking it from a cool keg that's been in the fridge. Those are cloudy because the chill haze warms up overnight, goes back in solution.
Yeah, serve them both at the same temperature and see if, they're both hazy or not. That's one thing I would check. But he says they clear over time, so... again, I'm thinking it's the height difference.
That could be. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. You could. There's a lot of possibilities there. But just keep in mind, the difference in height, and that might be the thing there. All right. Another great show, and I think we'll do another one, huh?
Yeah.
We got a lot of Q&A to knock out. And we really appreciate your participating in these shows. If you ask us questions, we will answer them, and we'll get those done. If you get a chance, stop by the Brewing Network store. Pick yourself up a copy of Brew Strong shirts. Pick up a copy of Brewing Classic Styles, How to Brew by John Palmer, Yeast Book.
Don't be a heretic. Stop by the store.
It only works if I say heretic, I think.
Dang.
Heretic. But don't forget to check that out and support the Brewing Network, because without participation by guys like you, we don't survive. So check out our sponsors, Blickman Engineering. Check out the AHA. Good people, good stuff. Really gonna help us keep going. And don't forget, really important thing you always want to remember is bees make honey.
That's right. Honey doesn't make bees.
Brew Strong.
Brew Strong, everybody.